the first place winning composition of the 2012 Art Song Composition Award Contest. This is the most exciting part of this, since we get to hear in person the winning composition and hear from the composer. In a moment I'll introduce her, but I'd like first of all to thank everyone who made this 2012 award program work. There is a screening committee that's been with me for 10 years who screen all of the, in this case, 61 compositions who were entered, and they are Tian Retief and Lucinda Schultz, both from Georgia. The three NATS preliminary judges for this cycle, now these are the people who listen to and study the scores of all the entries. They are Rebecca Rice from California, Flicka Ron, and Ruth Freeberg, both of Texas. And if any of you are here, please stand and we will fall on our knees for you because this is difficult and time-consuming but wonderful work. The final judge for this year was Jake Hagee. He was very complimentary of the finalist scores that he heard, saying that the composers were very imaginative and creative, and thanked them for their dedication to the art song. The list of finalists and winners and so forth is in your convention program, so you can take a look at that. Also, the scores and recordings and a little bio info about each one is on display at the Art Song Composition Award booth in the exhibition hall, so please go by. There's a CD player, you can listen to the scores. But I'd like to congratulate everyone who entered and the performers who made the recordings. I know some of them are here. It's just a wonderful gift that you're giving to our organization and our profession. I am happy to introduce Melissa Dunphy, who is the composer of the first place winning composition, which is entitled Tesla's Pigeon. It's an interesting title, isn't it? And she will tell us all about it, the inspiration for it and how it came to be. But she is an up-and-coming young composer from Philadelphia now, right? And she's Australian born and lived in Australia until 9 years ago, I believe. She writes choral music and pretty soon will be a composer of opera as well. That is her dissertation. She is also a Shakespearean actress and was given the accolade by the Philadelphia Inquirer as to be the best Shakespeare ingenue in Philadelphia. So words are important to Melissa.
I may be an actor, but public speaking absolutely terrifies me. My name is Melissa Dunphy. I am a composer and currently getting my PhD at Penn in Philadelphia. Previous to that, I lived in Australia. I grew up in Brisbane, actually, so I was really excited to see the booth over there in the exhibit hall saying that there is going to be a conference in Brisbane next year. Where I was born and bred. In fact, the place where the conference is across the road from where I was born, so it's exciting. But now I'm at Penn in Philadelphia, and it's been really good to me, and there's a wonderful composition community in Penn and a wonderful vocal singing community as well. But for this song, this song cycle, Tesla's Pigeon, I wasn't always thinking that music was going to be my life. At some points in my life, I actually thought I was going to go into the sciences. So science has always been really important to me, and the personalities in science are often very interesting and a little bit quirky, and Tesla is probably the most interesting and quirkiest famous scientist that people know. He's not well known enough, I don't think. And this is because of certain occurrences in his life. He got into a terrible publicity war with Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison advocated for DC power coming out of our outlets, and Tesla had the right idea, and he pioneered AC power. And this publicity war went on for so long that Tesla was basically bankrupted and ruined. But his idea stuck because it was the better idea. So you can thank him for the electricity that we have today and the efficiency of the AC power system. Unfortunately, towards the end of his life, it was not such an illustrious career at the end of his life. He had an experience, go back a little bit. He was celibate for his entire life. He shunned the company of women as partners because he believed that his celibacy was tied to his genius and that if he took a wife, he would no longer be a genius. Now, you can think of this what you will, whether his genius really was tied to that. I can say that it might have messed him up just a little tiny bit because towards the end of his life, he was so lonely that he actually fell in love with his pigeons that were his hobby to feed. These were pigeons in New York City. Everybody knows the pigeons. You either love them or you hate them. And he really loved them. There was one pigeon in particular, a white dove, who came to be fed by him every day. And he felt such a connection to this dove, I think in a lot of ways because he didn't have a wife and he didn't have anyone to love, and it was really just this pigeon. And he told the few friends that he had left, the friends who were supporting him because he wasn't making any money, you know, I love this pigeon as a man loves a woman. They thought he was a little odd. But he told a story one day to all of his friends. He said that the pigeon came to his window one day when he was sick, and a light shone from the pigeon's eyes, brighter than any light he had ever seen in any of his laboratories. And the pigeon told him telepathically that she was about to die. And he took the pigeon into his arms. She was very sick, and she died in his arms. And at that moment, he said, a light went out of his life, and he knew that his life's work was finished. And he really spent the rest of his life destitute, living in practical squalor in his room in the New Yorker. And when he died, he looked terribly gaunt, and he was sick. And it took a long time for his inventions to reach sort of a level of recognition that he's now kind of starting to get. The internet is often spreading a lot of, Tesla knowledge as well. So I wanted to write this cycle about the pigeon and about the last words that he hears from the pigeon. Is this really happening, or is this inside of Tesla's head? It's sort of up to you to decide which way it goes. And one of the connections that I make that you'll notice if you listen to the lyrics or read the lyrics, I think there's a lyric sheet being circulated, is that there are some words in there from Shakespeare's The Tempest, specifically Ariel's songs that she sings to Prospero. And the reason, of course, is that there is a perfect analogy between Ariel and Prospero and the pigeon and Tesla. Ariel and the pigeon are both surrogate wife figures for a man who is brilliant, in some ways almost mystically brilliant, a wizard, a wizard who's been shunned by society, a wizard who's been ruined by a previous argument with a brother or a fellow inventor, and stranded on an island, in Tesla's case, Manhattan, with only his airy spirit that nobody else can see for company. And it's really interesting because in The Tempest, of course, Prospero calls Ariel my bird and my airy spirit. And it worked so well that I knew I had to paint the pigeon as Ariel as well as all of this other references that you'll find in there. So that's the purpose behind that. I will also just quickly mention that I have CDs and scores for sale. Matt, can you put your hand up? This is my lovely husband, Matt, the reason I live in the US now. And he has CDs. He has CDs and scores, and also we commissioned some artwork for this piece, actually, and I don't know if you can see it very well, but we have these silkscreen prints of the artwork. It's sort of Tesla and the pigeon over the New York skyline. We have those for sale as well, so please come up to us afterwards, and we'll be happy to take your credit card details or cash. But our wonderful performers, are they... we right up with the lights. There we go. They come with the light, like the pigeon. This is Colleen and Nanette. Please give them a warm hand.
away.